Hello, welcome back to Steve's Corner. The joy of driving a junker. Hey man, that last video got me to remembering. It was Saturday. I was remembering about some of them old junkers I used to drive. Loved them, man. Loved them. There was a story I used to tell fellas. Because when you're driving a junker, man, especially an older truck, most people would ask me two things. Hey Steve, when are you gonna paint that old rust bucket of yours? Or either, and sometimes they'd want to buy it. Be honest with you, or either they'd rib you a little bit about it. It's just a bunch of guys getting around and goofing off with each other. Nothing. They didn't mean nothing malicious by it. But when I was working over to the paper mill over yonder, I worked in the coal shack way down at the end of the plant. Sometimes them guys, when they was on break-ins up inside the powerhouse, one or two of them might step down there and we'd get to goofing off, talking and stuff. And somehow one guy was down there one week, and he was somehow our conversation got around that old truck I was driving. And I told him, I said, listen, buddy, did I ever tell you about the time I got carjacked? He said, no. He said, what happened? I said, it was in that old truck. In town, there's a little underpass goes under a train trestle. And right there at the top of the hill, there's a daggone stoplight. And you got to figure, right, this was on 412s. It was, because I work swing shifts, so I was coming home about 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that, in the morning. And it's a small place. It's a pretty decent place to live, but it's small. And they pretty much roll the streets up at 8 o'clock, you know what I mean? So there ain't nobody out there. I told them I was coming home from work one night, because sometimes I could come home from work and I'd meet maybe two cars the whole drive over. And those were usually on this side of the bridge. In town there, I wouldn't meet nobody. But I said, and I've stopped at that stoplight down yonder. I said, and then before I knew it, there was two guys run up to my door, grabbed me, and yanked me out. They dragged me to the side of the road. I says, I'm thinking I'm getting daggone carjacked. Scared the heck out of me. Just before I start screaming and fighting back, because they had me to the side of the road before I even realized it. I says, one of them starts hollering at me, you okay? You need an ambulance? The other one wants to know if I knew who hit me. They thought I had been in an accident. They were trying to save my life, and I thought they was trying to steal my old rust bucket. He got to laughing. He never let me forget that the whole time I was there, about the time I almost got carjacked. But it's just a story I made up. Whenever somebody started asking me about that truck, I told my boy about it too. He got to laugh. He said that was funny. But if you'd ever got a look at one of them, man, that story would have been you'd get the idea behind it, because it looked like I'd been in an accident coming down the highway. But I used to get the guys if I'd ever tell one of them. I only told a couple of them, but I told my son that too, and he said I can believe it. I figure with today's world popping off like it is and everything going crazy, a little stupid story from me might help make things be a little bit better for you during the day. Because it's sure popping off over there in the Middle East there. But I enjoyed it, man. Hey, man, you get a lot of respect when driving one of them vehicles. You come down the road in one of them things and people can stay out of your way. They said, man, I know there ain't nothing. He ain't worried about his vehicle, but I'm worried about mine. So they give you plenty of room. And you can't hardly hurt them suckers because they're already halfway beat to death. There's not much more damage you can do to them. And I had some junkers die. Had a 71 Ford, was the first truck I bought. $100 for it, just like I did at Dodge. I had a Dodge, 75 Dodge too. It was $100. The bed in that Ford, it was warped. It was wavy like that. And it was manual, everything, 3-speed, steering, brakes. Even the windows was manual, AM radio, but it had a gun rack and an 8-track. I think it also had daggone. No, it didn't have the sliding window. But in the paint job, I was down there trying to get it inspected one day. The guy wanted to know what color it was. It was blue and it was white and it was green and black and it was rust and some parts that weren't even there. I finally come up and told him it was urban camo. And that Dodge was in worse shape, and it was but it was a Cadillac, man, because it had it was power steering and brakes and gears too, man. I didn't have to shift gears on it. That Ford, sometimes them gears get sticky. I'd have to go out there with a hammer and pop the hood and yank them in place. But that daggone Dodge, it didn't have no floor in it when I first got it. I had to put a piece of sheet metal down in there. And didn't have a horn. I bought me a daggone doorbell, a button doorbell from Lowe's. I wired it up and pushed the button. It mounted it on the dash. Every time you push that button, the horn would blow, though. The windshield was frosted, and it was too frosted to get it inspected, so I had to put a new windshield in it. And the windshield cost me more than the truck did. Drove them things for years, man. 5 or 6 years apiece. But anyways, man, y'all take care of yourself. You try to stay as cool as you can this week. It's supposed to be a hot one down here all week. And I hope you got a little giggle out of my little made-up story I used to tell the guys when they'd mess with me about them old junkers. But I loved them. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all take care of yourselves, man. We'll talk to y'all later.